Hey rookies, what's up? Welcome to this edition of the Bourbon Rookie, where today I am presenting to you, for your viewing pleasure and my drinking pleasure, BARDSTOWN Origin Series. And listen, these guys came out around summertime last year, something like that, maybe the beginning of last year. Came out last year, so I'm late to the game on these. However, in my market in New York, this guy is really hard to get. This guy is starting to become a fixture on shelves. So congratulations to Bardstown for doing that. The other fixture that they have on the shelves are the Fusion series, which from what I understand, the Fusion series they're doing away with. So I don't know if it's old bottles or if they decided not to do away with Fusion. But now that Bardstown has gotten into their own straights, and they're not necessarily in the entirety business, their whole business isn't entirely sourced whiskeys. These two blends are now their straights that they produce and they are marketing and selling, and this one is fabulous. This one I was able to procure online, and the reason for that was I got an Amex offer for a place called B21, which originates in Orlando, and if I spent a certain amount of money I got a rebate from Amex and blah blah blah, and they had this. So my local market, I can't get this. Now the difference between these two guys is this is 96 proof, sorry, right on the front, and this is 100%, 100 proof. This is a bottled in bond, or is it? Yeah, bottled in bond. Hello, on the front. All right, and the labels are pretty self-explanatory. I mean, you don't even have to go to the website. I like that. They're straight up on the label, man. It's this guy, aged 6 years, with a mash bill of 68% corn, 20% wheat, and malted barley, 12%. And this was distilled in 2017. Very cool. So I'm sure they're going to get into 8-year and all this other good stuff as they go along, because now they've gotten into their own. This guy, the white label, 60% corn. Okay, 60% corn, 36% rye, 4% malted barley. So we have, okay, so there's a difference in the blend as well, not just the proof, because like schmuck, I didn't read the side. And truth be told, this was from fall of 2016, fall of 2017. So this guy, I'm able to get this pretty frequently, and for around $40, $44 at my local liquor store. This guy I think cost me about $50, something like that, whatever, online to get it shipped from Florida. So I've done a review on this before. As you can see, I've gotten into this bottle, and for the sake of time I opened this, but I did not pour it. So I've probably had this since December of last year. So we're going to do a little head-to-head and see how we make out with this. Now, these bottles suck because they don't pour well. But whatever. But whatever. Now this is just creme brulee. Now, a lot of people like to, a lot of other reviewers like to pour in advance and aerate these guys. And I don't know, I'm always, for some reason I just like to open it and see how it tastes right out of the bottle. And sometimes that's a detriment because, like wine, this will open up, or anything that's aged in a barrel, right? Could be wrong. It needs to open up, it needs to aerate. So one of the things that I'm not always in a good habit of is aerating in the glass, which is what I'm doing now. So there's a little bit of obviously a caramel note to it, a little bit of a vanilla, a little bit of a fruit. Now to me it's grape. Now all that kind of adds up to a creme brulee with a great nose. Now, it's got a fairly decent copper color, amber color, whatever you want to call that. Let's see. It seems pretty oily, so that's a good sign, or a good indicator, right? You see how that's running down that glass? That's a pretty good indicator that there should be, because it's oily, a good finish. Ooh, wow, I just got a peanut. It's got a peanut note on there, guys. It's got a little peanut note on there. All right. Cheers. So finally, we got a little peanut. Little peanut. Shouldn't have said that. And I'm getting peanut. I'm getting peanut as a predominant flavor. And for the videos that I've done and the reviews that I've done, I really rarely get peanut as a tasting profile on my palate. I very rarely ever get that. This is the first peanut forward. Now again, I'm behind the 8 ball on reviewing this guy. Many other channels have reviewed this the minute it came out. New York is if you watch my videos, you know I'm saying that New York is a bougie market. This guy can't get on the shelves. We finally started seeing this late last year. And we're in February now. We're closing out February. And this is pretty much, I can go in and find this in a particular liquor store. This guy I can't. Discovery I can, usually behind, it's allocated in a glass cabinet. If I want any of the Discovery series, it's going to be $150 or more. That's not in my price point, guys. I wish it was. I really do. But man, now this, again, because of aeration, now I'm getting predominantly peanut. Peanut on the nose and peanut on the palate. Because of that surprise, I wasn't really paying attention to the finish. There's a slight syrupy. There's a little bit of it. It's oily, right? So I'm getting some syrup because of the oil. It's a nice mouth coating. Perverts, stop. The finish is pretty good. It's not oaky. There's a slight spice to it. Can't tell you what the spice is. But it's definitely not oak. But it's a decent finish. It's a light flavor. It's light in terms of flavor on the palate. But the finish in and of itself is long. I'm still getting the finish. The finish is not a heavy, oaky presence to it. It's just a light peanut, maybe a light maple syrup. Okay, but it's good. It's very good. In comparison, let's go to now this is where I like to deal with mash bills, because the difference between these two and proof is only 4%. Shouldn't really be that noticeable, the 4% difference in the proof, right? This being 96 and this being 100 proof, bottled and bond. But again, we're dealing with a difference now in the way, in the makeup, in the blend. 68% corn, 60% corn. Okay, this one's wheat. This one's rye. Okay. Interesting to note that. So you got rye in this guy, 36%. Wheat, 20%. Malted barley's kicked up, 12%. Malted barley, 4%. So, I finally get to do a head-to-head on these guys. Now, I've probably gone through because I was able to get this at a local store. And this, remember, I only got this online. I still don't see this in my local brick and mortar liquor stores. So, I'm going to want to preserve this guy, even though, listen, it didn't break my bank. But I'm not going to be able to find this unless I get it online somewhere else. Right? And by the time you pay shipping, you may not even want to buy it. So, I might keep this in the shelf. This was good. It's a highly rec. I think I got it for about 50 bucks. 50, anywhere from 45 to 55 bucks in that range online. And because it came through an American Express offer, it negated my shipping. It made it worth it for me to get. I don't know how much this would be locally for me. But I would say it's a rec if it's in your market. If you're anywhere outside of New York and you see Bardstown, right? Because this is in Kentucky. You're in the Midwest, you're down south, and I'm going to be going to Florida in a couple of weeks. No, in a week. I'm going to look for this in Florida. I want to see if they have it. And I want to see what the price point is down there, and maybe I'll see if I can update you. So, stay tuned for that. Now, okay. Maybe my palate is just crushed. I have had no peanuts today. I'm getting a little bit more fruit on this. I'm getting peanut. However, I'm getting a slight grape, slight caramel, a little bit more of a spice. Maybe because of the rye. Because there's rye in this, there's not rye in that. There's wheat in that. So, this one has a little bit more. I splashed this on my nose. It goes to show you. Schmuck. This one's a little bit more vibrant in terms of the nose. A little bit more spice. I like the nose on this one a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie. This one went from, you know, caramel, creme brulee, a little bit of a maple syrup note to peanut. Whereas this one is just more interesting, this nose. All right, cheers. Let's see how it compares. Wow. Well, I gotta tell you, this one's better flavor-wise. It's more interesting. It's only a 4% alcohol difference, right? So it's not a matter of proof. This one has it's more interesting in terms of the sip. That makes sense to you? There's a little bit more. For me, it's more my wheelhouse. It's a little bit more of the creme brulee. The creme brulee, what is that? Vanilla, right? The classic bourbon vanilla is the caramel, right? Think of the creme brulee. What's creme brulee? It's a custard coated with the caramel sauce. And then you put like a little whipped cream on the side, right? Maybe put a little cinnamon. Depends on the chef. A little dab of cinnamon for a little bit of spice. That's what I'm getting out of this. A little more vibrant, a little bit more flavorful. But if you're a Jim Beam guy, right? was Jim Beam, and I don't do a lot of Jim Beam reviews, but from what I understand, Jim Beam is peanut all day long. If you're a Jim Beam guy, you're going to lean toward this. You're going to like this more, right? However, this is cheaper. Proof Point isn't really killing it. There's a difference in the way in the mash bill, which in this instance, the mash bill for this video, and I'm already on 15 minutes, but for this video, the mash bill played a key role in the difference between the two. So for me, this mash bill is more up my alley with the rye and the 36% rye. Just made it a little more spicy. All right, add a little bit more spice, made it a little bit more interesting, a little less of the corn. Whereas this guy had more barley and made it a little bit more peanut forward. So if I'm going to choose between the two, for me and my palate, I'm going to go with this guy over this guy. And who knows, maybe that's the reason why I can't find this guy on the shelves next to this guy, because again, $44, $45 to $55. Price point's not different, but for whatever reason, this is the one that's being offered, and maybe this is the one that's being distributed more because of our market here in New York. I don't know. Maybe something with Bardstown. They have some type of spreadsheets or statistics that say that this is what the New York market they like to drink. Who knows? I don't know. But in this instance, I'm going to go with this guy over him. So maybe for me, I'm going to hold on to this. I'm going to keep it in the shelf, and I'll whip it out until it's done, and then I'll just keep going with this guy because it's just a little bit more interesting. But this guy, peanuts. This guy, a little bit more of the rice spice, makes it a little more interesting. This is just a little bit flatter. Got a good maple syrup, peanut note to it. So I'm not crushing this. It's a recommend. But what I'm saying is, if you don't see this on your local shelf, you're in the Northeast market, definitely pick this up. You know, if you live in Kentucky, you're probably going to get this for half the price anyway. So you'll have all these options available to you. And Bardstown, you can go to Bardstown and buy these at the distillery for probably half the price of what I pay. And it won't matter what these reviews are, because you're going to get these bottles for half the price. So it's not even going to matter what I say if you live in Kentucky. But if you live in the Northeast and you live in Boston, you live in New York, you live in Connecticut, and you can't get, maybe they don't have this, but maybe they have this one. Definitely go with this. This is a highly recommend too, but this is better. And with that, I'm going to end it. Stay frosty. We will see you on the next Bourbon Ricky video. Take care, guys.